Is Social Security running out? Why some 2024 GOP candidates want to raise the retirement age. USA Today. Some GOP candidates would raise the Social Security retirement age. One would cut federal agencies to pay for it. Here's what 2024 candidates said. Below are your comments. I don't believe most Americans know this, but only $160,200 in income is subject to Social Security tax. This means most Americans pay a percentage on all their income for Social Security tax, while the LTHY don't pay a penny on any income over $160,200. The solution is to keep the maximum benefit. What they really want is to turn Social Security's day-to-day operations over to for-profit corporate IONs who will promptly take 25% for their fees, then kick part of that back to the corrupt bureaucrats who handed it to them. They've already started it with the Medicare Advantage insurance companies. Social Security starts outside the government. Politicians included in the budget to play politics with the retirement of the American workers. All those who oppose Social Security increase must be condemned. Form all Americans, young or older, as a crime against the elderly that work hard all their lives. Republicans always talk tax cuts. Unfortunately, they never go to you or I. Mostly it is because they don't want to raise the payroll taxes on their rich friends. Once you get near $150,000 per year, you stop paying into the Social Security and Medicare programs. Why? Think of those CEOs making hundreds of millions of dollars per year with golden parachutes to boot. Next news. Why Democrats' good election results and Biden's struggles are not incompatible. NBC News. Elections like Tuesday's can be quite favorable to Democrats. And the polling that shows Joe Biden in trouble in 2024 can still be accurate. Below are your comments. The election is a year away. Some people are never happy and like to vent. Obama had similarly dire numbers a year out and crushed Romney. Biden has accomplished more legislatively than the three previous administrations combined, while the U.S. economy is the envy of the world. He also rallied the The only reason they have a low opinion is because of the right-wing media and Eeyore reporting from the rest of the media. No other president has achieved so much and they only focus on his age. I will vote for a 100-year-older Biden before I vote for any Republican insurrectionist. Perhaps Biden should drop out and have a new bunch of Dems in the primaries. I don't know. In just 1 month, the election year starts. I see the reason for the dislike of Biden mainly being the public remembering the high rates of inflation caused by the Fed in the pandemic. Maybe he can turn it. What a person votes for locally and statewide versus federal is always like night and day. It is nice to see that voters finally realize that abortion is a state issue and no longer a federal 1. And so we don't need to listen to more lies from anyone running for president about abortion. We won. NBC saw what happened last night and still can't believe it. Next news. Vivek Ramaswamy at third GOP debate, "We've become a party of losers." Yahoo News. Less than 5 minutes into Wednesday's third GOP debate, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy called Republic a party of losers for failing to turn a major election win since former President Trump won the presidential election in 2016. Below are your comments. It was odd when one of the participants, Scott I think, claimed he'd immediately start up the Keystone Pipeline for our energy independence. The Keystone would transport Canadian oil, not U.S. oil. Won't do anything for U.S. energy independence. The oil gets transported anyway. It just get. I've been saying this for over a year. The Republican Party is doing everything that they can to lose the next generations of elections. Trump is a big part of the problem. Forcing personal beliefs is another part. I'm Republican. The Republican Party loses because their rhetoric is so extreme and they don't stand for anything. They are concerned about trivial matters and don't seem interested in doing anything for their constituents. Their main goal seems to be finding ways to take away American rights. You don't have to look far. The recent chaos in the House over the Republicans' inability to elect a speaker just underscores the inability to lead. This cast of characters in tonight's debate is just further proof. Next news. You're just scum, Haley swipes at Ramaswamy at Republican debate. Reuters. Presidential candidates Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy make no secret of their dislike for each other, and their animosity came to a head at the Republican debate on Wednesday, with Haley muttering under her breath that her rival was just scum. Ramaswamy, a pugnacious entrepreneur who delights in making outrageous statements, provoked groans from the audience during a discussion on banning TikTok. When he mentioned that Haley's daughter had used the Chinese short video app. You might want to. Below are your comments. Shouldn't these amusing forays into the absurd be in the entertainment section? This is a sideshow to the GOP Big Top feature of SCROTUS the Clown. Is there anywhere I can go to in order to just live a reasonable life in peace? I'm an American and a veteran. So, please don't tell me to go back to where I came from. The fact that I have to include this disclaimer shows how far gone everything is. 80 years ago, as the winter of 43 set in, an elderly German citizen looked around in distress, finding himself angry, despondent, and resigned. He had watched his country install a corrupt dictatorship that mercilessly attacked its own citizens, with a judiciary and secret police organization that Nikki the neocon loves war. Got to evade the censors. Nikki Haley talks like a Democrat. Next news. Haley. Republicans need to be honest about abortion. Politico. With her party reeling on the issue, the GOP presidential hopeful staked out a more compromising position than several of her rivals. Below are your comments. Haley. Republicans need to be honest about abortion. They are Haley. Your party wants a federal ban on abortions as you do. BTW. This isn't the end. Top Ohio Republican vows effort to undo abortion amendment backed by voters. It is really just the beginning of a revolving door of ballot campaign. The abortion issue is slamming the GOP hard. Each family or woman's situation is unique, private, and a decision is to be made with counsel. To help the woman or young teen make their own decision. GOP think it is all about this or that, or some belief system they come up with like some God or s. Our politicians are in office to do the people's will. When every poll shows you that you are on the wrong path according to the people, you should get the message and do their will. The GOP is just too incompetent to get the message. Time to be honest. You don't care about babies or you'd support the expanded child tax credit that cut child poverty in half. You'd support mothers with assistance instead of shutting down programs and calling every mom needin'. Little support a welfare queen. You don't care about kids or you'd. Next news. GOP strategists urge congressional candidates to campaign against a national abortion ban. NBC News. Republican losses in Tuesday night's elections have GOP strategists urging congressional candidates to come out against a national abortion ban without exceptions. Below are your comments. The driving force of our politics since 2018 has been fear and opposition to MAGA. It was the driving force in 2022 and 2023, and it will be in 2024. The threat we are facing in our domestic politics is unprecedented. Voters understand that, they are voting against it, and they are fighting very hard. They just want Republicans to lie to the general public while their base knows they are for it. They honestly believe that the general public is as uneducated, not my words just using another's words, as the MAGA base. Going off the results of this most recent election cycle, it is safe to say Republicans have painted themselves into a corner regarding abortion issues. On one hand, they can continue to push the anti-abortion issue and lose elections, or, on the other, they can try to distance themselves from the topic and tick off their evangelical base of voters. Never trust Republicans. The problem is, they lie. The 3 Trump-appointed Supreme Court justices all said they would not vote to overturn Roe v. Wade, and they did it anyways. Next news. Nicole Wallace openly laughs at supercut of Republicans eating humble pie. HuffPost. GOP and Donald Trump's boasts of strength are immediately chopped down in the stinging montage. Below are your comments. Politicians say some of these issues are difficult, like abortion and gun control. It's not difficult if you put the issue to the people. Ohio voters showed how not difficult it was, and now it's codified into the state constitution. All you have to do is let the people speak, vote, and then listen. Hats off to you proud Americans out there who took the time to vote for keeping America free, on TR. And support this Constitution that we choose to live and stand by. United States, United States, United States. Thanks guys, keep voting. Republicans and I think the news media keep forgetting something critical. There are more people out there that are not Republican. Every day it seems the only opinion the media is interested in projecting is that of the far right. I constantly see interviews of MAGA Republican politicians and MAGA. She is my favorite, with Velshi next and then Joy Reid. Wallace responses are always genuinely organic. She always asks the questions I would, and if she disagrees with the answer she explains why instead of being argumentative for ratings. Next news. Biden administration picks Maryland for new FBI headquarters. Associated Press. The Biden administration has chosen a location for a new FBI headquarters in Maryland, the General S. Irvis's administration confirmed Wednesday, as the suburban Washington location was selected over Nay. RB Virginia, following a sharp competition between the two states. The site is planned for Greenbelt, about 13 miles, 20 kilometers, northeast of Washington. GSA looks forward to building the FBI's state-of-the-art headquarters campus in Greenbelt to advance their critical mission for years to see. Below are your comments. Significantly less than building it at Quantico, where the FBI already owns the land. Greenbelt is an interior suburb of D.C. It is a 100-year-old community with overbuilt roads and aging residential facilities. There is no room for expansion required for 10,000 employees of the largest and most. Wouldn't it make more sense to move it out of the DC area? Too many security agencies in one small area is a target. Move it to someplace like Ohio. They need to move it to Alabama or somewhere far from the reach of the deep state. Greenbelt was determined to be the best site because it came at the lowest cost to taxpayers. Next news. GOP debate fact-check. Live look at what Ramaswamy, Haley are getting right and wrong. USA Today. The USA Today fact-check team digs into statements made during the November 8 GOP debate, including Ramaswamy's overreach on the Ohio abortion measure. Below are your comments. Do not, for a minute, believe that any of these candidates are changing their stands on women's health. Care writes. They will say whatever they need to get your vote. When it comes down to a vote they will go anti! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. If you separate out fiction from fact for Republicans, they will have nothing to talk about! Exclamation mark. The MAGA radicals are arguing again? They're all beholden to their cult leader Trump. Only in this country can a bunch of insurrectionist sympathizers be allowed to run for president as well as hold seats in Congress. We will all regret it. That's funny. Republicans have no clue to what's fact or fiction. They're too gullible and will believe anything. I feel like Trump is a turtle hiding in his basement, along with the rest of the classified documents he has. He's a coward now, staying home, no tweets, not going on radio or TV. He's being kept low, as his handlers know, less Trump equals better chance of success. Just watch, the more Trump speaks, th. Next news. Biden goes to Illinois auto plant saved by union agreement, a sign his policies are helping workers. Associated Press. President Joe Biden went to Chicago on June 28 to give a landmark speech on Bidenomics, only to earn in private during the trip about a soon-to-close auto factory, news that was a challenge to his vision for the country. The prospect of a shuttered Stellantis plant in the small city of Belvidere became an immediate priority for Biden. The president wanted to show that his policies could deliver for workers, rather than repeat the decades of factory closures that had gutted parts of the mid. Below are your comments. Do workers feel helped? I don't know, I'm retired. Retirement pays better and has better benefits. That is fine for the union workers, how about the rest? Oh no, not a dime for us while foreigners get help everywhere. Last time I checked, the union helped the union workers. Everyone else without a union job has watched their wages stagnate while everything around them continues to increase in price, especially with unions driving up costs. Left-wing dogma article. Why is Biden poking his nose where it does not belong? I see Biden has been listening to the wrong people again. Next news. Verdict is in. Texas voters tell oldest judges it's time to retire. Associated Press. When it comes to age on the ballot, Texas didn't wait until 2024 to weigh in. Asked to let judges stay on the bench until they're 79 years old. A year younger than President Joe Biden. Texas voters soundly rejected the proposal in Tuesday's elections, a defeat that drew new attention to issues of age and fitness for office in the U.S. Age is front of mind for American voters in a way that it has not traditionally been, and they are nervous about it, said Cal Gilson, a political science pro. Below are your comments. This was just the GQP trying to keep their right-wing Chief Justice on the Texas Supreme Court a few more years. We said nope. This is one of the very few things I'd agree on with Texas. After a certain age, politicians should be forced to retire, especially if we have no terms limits. That said, I'd set that age at 65. I would be kind and allow them to finish current terms before stepping down and to finish a term in which the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was still on the U.S. Supreme Court when she died on Sept. 20, 2020, at the age of 87, from pancreatic cancer. Still too old. Next news. U.S. looks to China to commit to working together on fentanyl crisis as Biden and Xi prepare to meet. NBC News. The U.S. is hoping to announce a new commitment from China to stem the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. and the resumption of some communication between the two countries' militaries when President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping meet next week, according to two people familiar with the discussions. Below are your comments. There is no solution to the fentanyl problem unless Congress passes strict laws to punish both drug sellers and users. Chinese-made fentanyl should only be available in pharmacies with a doctor's prescription. President Biden aims to persuade China to prohibit the export of raw materials and equipment. Xi ain't going to waste his time meeting with Biden. Forget about the Biden-Xi meeting. Xi is not coming to San Francisco. Biden has a bad track record of trusting bad actors and getting burned. He trusted the Taliban during the AFG withdrawal and that was a clown show. Joe trusted the Iranians and loosened sanctions, only to have the Iranians fund Hamas, leading to the current disaster. Now he thinks he can trust Xi. Can Joey stay awake that long? Next news. A judge is set to hear arguments as Michigan activists try to keep Trump off the ballot. Associated Press. A judge in Michigan is expected to hear arguments Thursday on whether Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson has the authority to keep Donald Trump's name off state ballots for president. Activists are suing Benson in the Michigan Court of Claims to force her to keep Trump's name off ballots and to assess Trump's constitutional qualifications to serve a second term as president. Meanwhile, attorneys for the former president are demanding that Trump's name be allowed on the 2024 Republican president. Below are your comments. Hopefully he will shut it down like Minnesota SC did. They have no standing at this time. The plain text of the 14th is clear. It makes it so a person can't hold office. It does not preclude them from running for office. It even gives them a chance to appeal a ban to Congress. If Trump becomes th. You would think they would give up, as 14.3 has no legal merit. It has never been enforced because it violates several other amendments. The last Confederate soldier to hold office was Charles S. Thomas, a governor and senator of Colorado until 1921. Next news. Republican debate. 5 GOP candidates clash on abortion, TikTok and Israel-Hamas war. Yahoo News. Key moments and takeaways from the third Republican presidential debate in Miami. Below are your comments. I love their answers to the economy. Just make more supply available. Just make more energy available. Then the prices will go down. So, why would any energy company do that? Our problem today is not that we don't have the production capacity available for prices to be lower. The problem is the candidate who does not demonize everyone not in their party, who realizes half plus or a district, state, country did not vote for them, yet they are supposed to work on behalf of all their district, state, country. Work together with the other side, not demonize and name call them. That's the purse. Scott keeps claiming he is going to create 10 million new jobs. Where are we going to find these new workers? Unemployment is at a historic low, thank you Joe. He wants these new jobs to have six-figure salaries. Too few workers, with increased demand. Sounds like a formula for inflation. Please wait a moment. Next news. Trump is dominating in early primary states. Why few voters are likely to change their minds. USA Today. Former President Donald Trump is dominating other GOP contenders by over 30 points in polls. Even his least fervent supporters may be unlikely to back other candidates. Below are your comments. Haley is the answer for the GOP. I voted for Biden, but I'll vote Haley if he runs again. Obviously I don't agree with her on everything, but she has a firm grasp on the important issues and, more importantly, I trust her not to abandon our allies. Based on my life where I had many Trump supporters in the family and so did my wife, we see a completely different attitude from these individuals. They have no interest like they did in 2016 or even 2020 for voting for Trump. They don't even defend Trump anymore. The last few Thanksgivings are off. Trump will win the presidency. Biden has made such a disaster, we need someone to fix it. All Biden had to do was leave things alone, but he saw a way to enrich himself. Doesn't matter, it came with a very high price for the American people. Guess I'll be forced to vote for Biden again. Next news. He owes it to you. 2024 Republican candidates bash Trump during third GOP showdown. USA Today. Former President Donald Trump was absent from the debate but not the conversation among the Republican candidates on stage during the third GOP debate. Below are your comments. None of them really stood out to me. I'm an anti-Trump independent. I'm not happy with Biden either. It's going to be an educational next 12 months. We just need someone to represent all of us, not one side or the other. Trump is afraid to debate. He has no platform. He's uninformed on the issue. He has no verbal bleep. In general, he's not qualified to do much of anything. He should explain why he didn't have Mexico pay for the border wall. He should explain why he racked up so much debt. He should explain why he didn't drain the swamp. You hear that, MAGAs? Your idol is a fraud. He tricked every single one of you. And, apparently, he still is. It's registered VOT. While I heard light-handed criticisms, I did not really hear any candidate say what they would do different than Trump on specific issues. Next news. You're just scum. Nikki Haley slams Vivek Ramaswamy for invoking her daughter. HuffPost. The two 2024 GOP presidential candidates got into a tense exchange over whether to ban the social media app TikTok. Below are your comments. I haven't seen one thing about Ramaswamy. He got rich in the pharma industry while people are cutting pills in half because they can't afford them, and hasn't said one decent thing in the debates. Although I don't really like Chris, I think he's the best candidate. I only want to hear about their policies and how they will get what needs to be done to get the country back on track. I do not vote for people who just argue and call names. Why are they even bothering with these debates? MAGA has subverted the GOP and Trump is likely to be the nominee. Then he'll lose the general again. In the meantime, there's this pointless sideshow. I never liked the guy from the opening minutes of the first debate when he insulted everyone on the stage by saying he was the only one who wasn't bought and paid for. I dislike him even more now. Next news. Trump ally Bannon to ask court to overturn contempt of U.S. Congress conviction. Reuters. Steve Bannon, who was a senior advisor to former President Donald Trump, is set to ask a federal appeals court on Thursday to overturn his criminal conviction for defying a subpoena from a congressional panel that investigated the Jan. 6, 2021, attack on the U.S. Capitol. Bannon, convicted last year of 2 misdemeanor counts of contempt of Congress, will try to make the case that he did not receive a fair trial because the judge barred him from making arguments central to his defense, including. Below are your comments. The courts all denied Trump his excuse for criminal behavior in the Executive privilege does not extend to staff and is not a defense for a seditious conspiracy against the U.S. government and every American citizen. The DOJ should never have allowed the misdemeanor deal and forced him to trial. He should have been sitting in jail waiting appeal. Pigpen better say please with sugar on top. Next news. Nikki Haley, Tim Scott and other Republican hopefuls clash over abortion during GOP debate. USA Today. Why? South Carolina's senator and former governor went head-to-head in the third GOP debate over the case of passing a 15-week national abortion limit. Below are your comments. A year ago it was all states' issues, but now they want a federal ban. That tells you volumes. None of these people need to get anywhere near our Nikki has a problem. She sounded crass, caught with a gotchi moment. Her bigger problem is 3 on that state will never get a GOP nomination. The GOP has never nominated a woman or non-white for president. Republicans hate democracy. Forced birth is forced birth no matter how you dress it up. Try to discuss it. Send a better message. Pretend you're all for helping the mother. Talk about how your husband was adopted, or how hard it was for you, Nikki, to get pregnant, etc. I've seen toddlers at my kids' daycare that act the same way as these candidates. Next news. Trump won, third GOP debate unlikely to change dynamic of primary race. Yahoo News. Little time remains for Republicans to find a presidential nominee other than Donald Trump, who commandingly leads in state and national polls. Below are your comments. Christie was the only candidate of the night who directly answered every question asked of him, with specifics. Haley spent so much time talking about the issue behind the question, and whatever time was left and the goal getting to know specifics. And other times ignored the question entirely and tuned in late just out of curiosity. Caught 30 seconds of Ranty Swampy's bid to further confuse the issue. I'm confused. This is what's great about remote controls. If Haley thinks that the country doesn't need to be divided over abortion, her party should quit doing all of the dividing, but then they'd have to run on their only real position, tax cuts for the wealthy. Next news. Party of losers. On debate stage, Republican candidates go after Ronna McDaniel. USA Today. On the debate stage, 2024 GOP candidates lamented stinging defeats in this year's off-year elections. Below are your comments. It used to be, in politics, when you were dealt a stinging defeat on a subject as a party, you pulled back a little to the center and adjusted your position. Now, it's now been multiple cycles on this issue and they still can't change their stances. This is what happens when your party is I mean, with all the money political parties spend, you would think they would have figured out that their message and their platform is just not in sync with the majority of voters. Sometimes you need to lose in order to get to a point where you could win. They still have a lot of losing left to go. I'd expect Republicans to accelerate their plans to turn the country into a single-party dictatorship. With their party being the single party. Next news. Lawrence O'Donnell exposes true intentions of Donald Trump's Republican rivals. HuffPost. And the MSNBC anchor pulled no punches explaining why most hated Vivek Ramaswamy was the MVP of the third GOP debate. Below are your comments. Anyone who does not call out Trump on his big lie should not be allowed on any ballot. I know I'm not the only person who will never vote for these spineless whatevers. Another example of a failed and broken American institution. Education. healthcare, immigration, criminal justice and politics, government. The piper will be coming soon to collect. Best to make plans for your future outside the US if you're smart. People who don't believe in electoral democracy pitching for votes in an election that they will EIT. Her win or claim was stolen. There you have the Republican Party in a nutshell. Most of these people are running to be the conman's VP. It's called dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight. Next news. Party of losers, 2024 GOP candidates gripe about election losses. HuffPost. Stinging Republican losses in Tuesday's elections didn't go over well at Wednesday's GOP presidential debate in Miami. Below are your comments. The GOP's recent election losses are less about rejection of conservative policy and a lot more about reducing organized religion's disproportionate influence on government and ability to inject its extremist views into public policy. We are now seeing the damage that the theocrats have done to We'd have 10 times the viewership, Ramaswamy said. The fact that these people care more about ratings than actual policies is why they lost so badly. Saint now. Calling it a limit instead of a ban isn't fooling anyone. Saying they allow late-term abortions when, even under Roe, no doctor would perform an abortion if fetus was viable and they wouldn't today. Next news. Grappling with Trump and abortion losses, 6 key takeaways from the Republican debate. NBC News. Learn more about some of the biggest takeaways from the third Republican debate, including major candidate clashes and attempts to distance from Trump. Below are your comments. DeFascist would cut SS and Medicare. Of course he would. It's practically a GOP plank and he wouldn't answer the question. Dopefuls. I hope Generation X, Millennials, and Gen Z are paying attention. They are the ones who should bring in many more Democrats to clean up the mess conservatives made. Trump continues to miss debates. The coward can't stand to answer a hard question or face a fact. Has nothing America wants to hear. Was one the lowest-ranking presidents. Why would we vote him back in? Doesn't even understand that a 10% tariff is paid for by the American and we need things to be Next news. Nikki Haley swipes back at Ramaswamy's bleep Cheney in 3-inch heels' jab during Republican debate. Yahoo News. Businessman Vivek Ramaswamy was the first Republican presidential hopeful to kick off a series of personal attacks against his fellow candidates on the debate stage in Miami Wednesday night. The first set of attacks concerned none other than footwear. Below are your comments. Thank you, Vivek. Now maybe a real candidate will enter this GOP field, Liz Cheney. They're all a bunch of Richard Cheneys, minus the Cheney. So is DeSantis. No wait. His or four heels. Aw man, if Vivek was on a game, he should have replied, "Oh, was the heels comment for me or Dessen? Tis. What shameless bunch. I don't respect anyone who thinks Trump's a good person." Next news. House subpoenas James and Hunter Biden in GOP-led probe of the president's family. NBC News. House Republicans on Wednesday issued subpoenas to James and Hunter Biden as their impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden escalates. Below are your comments. The Republicans should do their jobs and make sure the government is not shut down. They have been investigating Hunter now for 5 years. Millions of dollars spent and have nothing. Just do like locker room lookout Jim J did and ignore it. Hunter Benghazi emails something balloon. Meanwhile, Jared, who actually worked in the White House directing Middle East policy, is enjoying $2.4 billion received from the Saudis, Qataris and UAE, 6 months after leaving the White House. The biggest financial scandal in U.S. history. Next news. What is fracking, and why did Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley clash over it at another debate? USA Today. Nikki Haley previously criticized Ron DeSantis over Florida's opposition to oil fracking at the Republican presidential primary debate in September. Below are your comments. They are arguing over whose state to destroy, environmentally. Peak Republican values. What is fracking? It's something humans do to the earth with little forethought, predicated strictly on greed. West Texas, after decades of fracking, is suffering serious earthquakes all around the West Texas aquifer. Yeah, smart stuff, folks. Who needs clean drinking water when you got oil, black? Support birth defect causing chemicals but anti-abortion? I laughed out loud, hysterically, when DeSantis said these exact words. Next news. Vivek Ramaswamy slams Ukrainian President Zelensky with Nazi reference. NBC News. Vivek Ramaswamy slammed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during Wednesday's GOP presidential debate, making a Nazi reference and calling Zelensky a comedian in cargo pants. Below are your comments. Zelensky may be a comedian turned politician, but Ramaswamy here appears headed in the opposite direction. Ramaswamy looks to be borrowing from Putin's playbook. I say shame on the GOP for letting this man on their stage. Of course, the GOP seems to be immune to shame and basic human decency while we are at it. Check his bank account for rubles and yen. Another confirmation: money can't buy class, intelligence and kindness. He is in a suit. Next news. U.S. Treasury's Yellen, Chinese vice premier he set to meet amid pre-APEC friction. Reuters. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen opens 2 days of meetings with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng on THURS Day in a bid to limit the economic fallout from a tense relationship by keeping open the lines of communications on topics from national security to climate change. U.S. Treasury officials have sought to downplay expectations for any breakthroughs from the meetings in San Francisco, where the U.S. President Joe Biden next week will host a summit of Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Count. Below are your comments. Bleep the Fed. It's not federal. It has no reserves. It's owned by foreign banks. Next news. Democrats urge Biden to protect Palestinians in the U.S. from deportation. CBS News. More than 100 Democratic lawmakers asked President Biden to allow Palestinians living in the U.S. without permanent legal status to gain deportation protections. Below are your comments. If you think Islam can peacefully coexist, you know nothing about it. Giving visas to the people that chant death to America is not a good idea. Islam in America is the same religion it is worldwide. Okay, send back all the illegals, then do it. We don't need more people to feed. Democrats sure do love making the enemy's citizens and offering them lifetime welfare. Just check out Michigan. No, 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 no. Next news. Minnesota Supreme Court dismisses effort to block Trump from state's primary ballot. NBC News. The Minnesota Supreme Court on Wednesday dismissed an effort to keep former President Donald Trump off the state's primary ballot in 2024. Below are your comments. Why do all of the left-wing rags all get the same thing wrong? Engaged in insurrection or rebellion after having sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Ion. That quoted section of the article is wrong. Sec. 3 identifies exactly who can be barred from holding office, and at the federal level I watched some of the court information being given in Colorado. Next news. Tim Scott brings girlfriend, Mindy, to Republican debate in Miami. USA Today. White House hopeful and South Carolina Sen. Tim Scott had a very special guest at the third Republican debate in Miami, his girlfriend. Below are your comments. Give it up, Tim. It's too little too late. I definitely do not want and will not vote for none of the GOP panel to be my president. I wonder how much he is paying her. Tim, who do you are fooling? A year or so. Come on, man. Point 1 winter, 1 summer, 1 fall, 1 spring. What about that would make you not quite remember when you started dating? And you're flipping near 60. Lol. Next news. Farmers get billions in government aid. Some of that money could fight climate change too. USA Today. Why? Even before anyone's seen the actual text of the proposed farm bill, some in Congress are pushing to take money away from climate change initiatives. Below are your comments. Go to Hey USA Today! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark, 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 exclamation mark. Back at you. Climate crisis. Climate panics have been wrong for over 50 years. 1967 dire famine by 1975. (1969) Everyone will die in a cloud of blue steam by 1989. Next news. The Supreme Court dismantled Roe. States are restoring it one by one. Politico. Support for abortion cuts across party lines, performing significantly better at the ballot box than Biden and other Democrats. Below are your comments. All this effort, what does this do to help men? Most men are tired of this. So the Supreme Court made the correct decision. It is a state issue. A 10th Amendment issue as it should be. Other issues should also go back to state control. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.